to a time in your life where you had to read a novel, and after each consecutive word, you died a little on the inside. One of the shamefully popular novels among high school English teachers goes by the title The Old Man and the Sea, which is about as close to having your soul ripped out as one can get whilst you're still alive. To protect yourself, one must understand the nature of the beast and how to exorcise the demon safely without harm to the individual or nature. Today, I will teach you how to recognize you are in contact with the old man in the sea and the steps you must take to eradicate said atrocity. So without further ado, what is this soul-crushing entity, the Old Man in the Sea? The Old Man in the Sea is a satanic novel which fills the reader with murderous rage. Originally, it was composed to be a tribute to a man of steel, Angelo DiMaggio, but proves to be pedophilic and self-destructive instead in nature. Basic plot summary is: number 1, man attempts to catch giant marlin. Number 2, man catches giant marlin but realizes he's out in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico without food or water. Number 3, marlin finally realizes, marlin finally surfaces, man harpoons marlin in the side, marlin is attached to the side of the boat, and then the marlin is eaten by sharks, promptly mako to be exact. Number 4, the old man washes up back home alive with the skeleton of the marlin, and somewhere before any of this happens, he rubs down a prepubescent male. Yep, that's about it. And I'm even being nice to you by taking out hours of him talking to his limbs. Symptoms that you may be reading The Old Man in the Sea include inexplicable boredom, thoughts of suicide, and in extreme cases, thoughts of kittens being put through a meat grinder. If you find yourself with any of these symptoms, check the cover of the book you're reading. If you find you are in possession of a mind poison agent known as OMTS, do not panic. Early removal stops the spread of the virus, and only a part of your soul will have been annihilated. If you find yourself in the situation above, jettison the book from the nearest window. If there is a car around, paralyze the villain by running over it, and then backing up and running over it again. This only works in the early stages, around chapters 1 through 3. If you are any further, greater measures will need to be taken. Clearly, the publisher of this book made a grave error, so let us now talk about what steps can be taken to correct it. The Old Man in the Sea can be safely contained by a few intricate methods. However, one must understand the efforts that have been made to come to one final solution. As a custodian for 3 years, I was able to research safe ways to destroy it by ferreting out a number of soft-covered copies year to year. Alas, I was not audacious enough to jump right in with the big boys, so I started with a less debilitating novel, F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby. Shamefully, I thought I was ready after climbing a dangerously slippery ladder to the roof of my school building and setting the book alight with the power of a 90-degree day's sunlight and a magnifying glass. How wrong I was. Here, too, is a list of methods that also failed. Number 1, using the irony of the sea to dismember the book. But then fish began to nibble on the remains, therefore causing death and destruction in a 5-foot radius. Number 2, sending copies to areas such as Ghana to use as toilet paper instead of their own money. They sent it back explaining that one does not clean himself with one's own excrement, else why would one do it with a foreigner's? Touché, Ghana, touché. Number 3, disposing with nuclear waste. Dead uranium begins to glow again, and radiation caused 12 hysterical pregnancies in lab rats, one of them actually giving birth to a mouse. Number 4, thrown in between 2 ugly people spooning, causing the chance of projectile vomiting to increase out of the northeast at 15 miles per hour. The book was not affected. Clearly there were more, but for the sake of time, I think we can all agree that simple things were just not cutting it. The old man in the sea was just diabolical enough to thwart even being stabbed repeatedly with a meat cleaver. Nay, after all of those failures, I stumbled upon one true solution. To destroy the monstrosity of the old man in the sea, one needs the supplies. These include, number one, a hazmat suit. If you do not have one available to you, use hawking gloves. Number two, a contraband copy of The Old Man in the Sea. I do not support going out and buying one. Number three, a well-vented shack, preferably in a forest or by a lake, but not in a well-populated area. Number four, 2 sticks of nitroglycerin dynamite and a dynamite plunger. Step 5, 50-foot piece of steel wool / nichrome / copper wire. The reason there are 3 choices is that experts debate on the availability and usefulness of the 3, determining steel wool is the most available because found in house cleaning products such as SOS pads. Number 6, safety goggles. Number 7, a match and a razor blade. With supplies in hand, one may now proceed to rid the earth of the travesty known as the Old Man in the Sea. Step 1. Don the hazmat suit and / or hawking gloves. Step 2. Carry a book into the shack and place it in the center of a clear area. Step 3. Wrap the old man in the sea with 2 sticks of nitroglycerin dynamite. I don't know if you know anything about dynamite, but usually it comes banded together. So since you're only using 2, you're probably going to be taking out a few of the band. So use that extra space in the band to shove the book right in there, and you won't actually have to, tie anything. Step 4, split match head in half with a razor blade. You're going to want, it doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical, but you're still going to want 2 ignitable parts on either side of the match head that will be touching your wires. Step 5, insert the wire and the fuse of dynamite into the split and match head. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to wrap it around those ignitable parts of the head of the match. Step 6, attach the other end of the wire to plunger switch at the base. Sometimes plungers have a switch at the top, so you're going to have to figure out which type of plunger you're using so that you do it right. Step 7, carry the plunger outside of the shack. Obviously you don't want to be in there when it's blown up. Step 8, put on goggles, because you don't want to end up like a hilarious public service announcement poster. And step 9, depress plunger. And I don't mean read the book to the plunger. I mean push the plunger down. If you did it right, you're doing it wrong. No, if you did it right, there should be little to no evidence the book ever existed. Instead, leaving a satisfying burn mark on the floor, sometimes in the shape of the rising sun. Kind of a nice little piece of irony there. The Old Man in the Sea was fatefully printed in 1952 and gradually snagged its way into elderly women's book clubs because they really love their Santiago. Since then, it has been eating the souls of teenagers everywhere for years, and if we do not stop this epidemic, all children will begin to be born devoid of souls, and humanity as we know it will become a thing of the past. We can all avoid this catastrophe by following 9 simple steps. I have been researching for 3 years to give you this life-saving advice. Once I have single-handedly stopped all publishers making Men in the Sea available to the public by use of threats, bribes, and an undercooked smoked ham, I shall call upon the youth of the world to eradicate the poison that has inhabited our schools for much too long. Together we can unite the Old Man in the Sea with its rightful owner in hell. Thank you, and remember to think of your future children.